Did you know that after the launch of the Pixel 10s, Google Pixel is now the fastest growing premium smartphone brand in the world? That means that a lot of people are switching to Pixel from brands like Samsung and other Android devices, and a ton of iPhone users too. And honestly, it's for good reason, because the Pixel 10 Pros are the most refined Pixels yet. And in my recent photographer's review video, a lot of people were asking about the best camera settings. So I figured I would make this video to go over the overall camera interface, as well as what settings I use to capture the best content. Keep in mind, most of these settings I go through are largely personal preference, and it can vary from user to user, as well as depending on your shooting condition. But hopefully this video can still help you out if you are new to the Pixel devices and you aren't familiar with this camera interface. Or if you already have used the Pixel before, this can be a good refresher. And just a heads up, this might be a relatively long and somewhat boring video, but I'm going to try to keep it as straightforward as possible, just full of valuable information and helpful tips. So let me know in the comments what you guys think about this format and if I should do more videos like this. So when you open the camera app for the first time, you're presented with this menu with 4 options. I recommend you turn all of these on because these are actually some of the most useful features within the camera system, and we'll definitely get into each one in more detail later on. And if you find that you don't like any of these features, you can easily turn them off in these settings. Taking a look at the overall camera interface, it's relatively simple, with the zoom levels in the viewfinder and various shooting methods under the shutter button. Tapping on the screen adjusts your focus point, and holding it down locks it. There's also additional settings for the tap feature that I'll show you guys later. But let's start on the left of the frame where there's a couple of small icons. The first one is the 12 megapixel icon. Obviously, this will let you know which megapixel mode you are in. So tapping on this icon brings you straight into the Pro Photo settings, and you can quickly change it to the 50 megapixel mode if you want. If you watched my photographer's review video, then you know I highly recommend that 50 megapixel mode. Just be aware that there is still lag when you're shooting in quick succession, so you can only get about 2 shots off before it starts to slow down. And of course, for night shots, the noise reduction is not as clean as if you were in the 12 megapixel mode. The next icon is the flower, which represents the auto macro mode. As you can see, when I move the phone around, the macro mode turns on and off by itself. Personally, I find this pretty annoying because sometimes I want to close focus on a subject without using the macro mode in order to get nice bokeh in the background. So once again, you can just tap on the flower icon and it will bring you straight to the menu for macro focus. Now you can turn it off, or you can lock it to only use macro focus if you're trying to take those close-ups. The last icon in this corner is the moon, which represents automatic night sight. This is a setting that I generally just leave on auto because the Pixel does a pretty good job at triggering that auto night sight when it gets a bit too dark. And the night sight photos are definitely a lot cleaner compared to without. Within this menu is also where you're able to turn on the flash for additional light. Now in the top left corner of the camera UI is the new camera coach feature on the Pixel 10. There's no harm in turning this on because you don't have to use it if you don't want to, but it's nice to have just in case you do want to try it. Moving on to the different zoom levels, you can quickly tap on each number to jump to the respective zoom. Also, pro tip, instead of using pinch to zoom, you can swipe across the zoom bar and it does the same thing. There's actually one more hidden way to control zoom, and I'll show you guys that when we get into the camera settings. Under the shutter button is where you have access to the various shooting modes. So by default, it will be on the photo mode, but you can swipe across for any of the other ones. I'm not going to touch on every single mode because they are pretty straightforward. However, Add Me is a recent addition on last year's Pixel, and you're able to take group shots and then add yourself into that same photo. This feature is unique to Pixels, and everyone is always asking what phone I'm using because they are always surprised by how well it works. Long exposure is another really useful shooting mode on Pixels. This allows you to mimic a long exposure shot on a tripod, so it's able to smooth things out like waterfalls and light trails automatically without you needing to go into the manual controls and without needing to lock it off on a tripod. But one of my favorite modes to use is Action Pan. This allows you to get pretty cool shots of moving subjects like cars, bicyclists, or people running. You can get those tracking shots without having to adjust shutter speed and manually tracking your subject across the frame. Lastly, in the panorama mode, the new feature this year is the ability to use the 5x lens on the Pixel 10 Pro. This would be pretty cool for landscapes or scenes that require that reach. Now moving on to the last section of buttons. At the bottom right, you have the settings button, and we've already touched on some of these like night sight. but it's a really convenient way to access those settings and change the ones you need. And like I said in the beginning, a lot of these settings I just tend to leave on because they can work in the background and doesn't directly affect the shooting experience. For example, Top Shot captures multiple frames and automatically chooses the best shot where everyone is looking at the camera. Motion Photo enables a quick video capture while taking the photo, and it's pretty useful to have on to be able to see that quick snippet. Then under timer settings, you can use for remote shooting, and the macro focus setting we also touched on earlier. The last option here is the ratio, and I would recommend to leave it at a full image, which is a 4:3 ratio, because this takes full advantage of the sensor. Changing it to the wide 16:9 ratio crops in on the image, so you're actually losing a bit of resolution. Now let's talk about pro controls. We touched on the 50 megapixel mode earlier, and if you're serious about photography, I would also enable RAW capture. This setting is useful because it captures both RAW and JPEG files, so it gives you that flexibility in post to adjust the image to your own style. Lastly, we have the manual lens selection, and this is one setting that I also highly recommend you turn on. Enabling this setting allows you to adjust exactly which lens you want to use on the device, and it won't change automatically. So once you enable this, it also changes the zoom interface. So you no longer see the numbers like the 0.5x, the 1x, 5x, etc. I pretty much always use this option because I really don't like it when the phone doesn't switch to the telephoto mode when it gets a bit dark. It'll crop in on the main sensor and it'll produce a lesser quality image. In this example, you can see I'm zoomed into 5x. However, it's still using the main camera and not the telephoto because you can see my finger in front of it. And here's a comparison between the 5x on the main camera versus the 5x using the real telephoto, and you can see how much of a difference that is. Speaking of the 5x lens, it is refreshed this year with 2 minimum focusing distances. In auto mode, you can tap the focus around 2 feet, which is kind of far. But if you toggle pro controls and use the manual focus button, now you can focus down to 1 foot, which is a huge improvement. The purple highlights are called focus peaking and shows you exactly what is in focus. I'm not exactly sure why they do this, but it's definitely useful to know if you do want to take close-up photos with that telephoto. And while we're in Pro Controls, we can cover off on some of these settings here. The night sight button only shows up when you're in a dark environment, and this just allows you to adjust how long you want that night sight mode to be activated for. Just keep in mind that the longer you select night sight, the more steady you have to hold the device. Then we have some settings for shadows, exposure, and white balance. These are pretty self-explanatory at what they do, but there's an even quicker way to access these 3 sliders, which we'll get into when we look at the camera settings. Moving on, in the Pro Controls, we have the focus button, which we talked about, and then you have the core settings for manual controls. With shutter speed, you can go all the way down to 16 seconds, which is really great for those manual long exposure shots if you do want to set your device up on a tripod. Lastly, you have the ISO button, and I find that anything over 800 ISO, the image starts getting a bit noisy, and you're able to max that out up to 3200. What's also useful about Pro Controls is that your setting readouts are right at the top of the screen, so you can quickly reference them while you're shooting. Going back into the photo settings menu, you have these 3 dots on the top right, and this brings up even more camera settings. Now, there's a ton of settings to go through, and I'm just going to touch on the ones that I use the most, and the rest of them I leave pretty much on default. I always enable the 3x3 grid because this helps with shooting composition. Again, this is personal preference, and there are a few other options to choose from. I also like to toggle keep selfies as seen so that the image you see on the phone is the image that is captured and you don't have to flip it afterwards. Under the fast access menu, I always enable the quick access controls. What this does is provide you a really quick way to adjust the highlights, shadows, and color temperature like we were talking about earlier. With this setting enabled, you can tap on the screen and it brings up those 3 sliders in addition to your focus. Again, it's one of those options that you don't have to use if you don't want to, but those few times that you do, you'll be really glad that it's right there at the tip of your fingers. And honestly, I use this feature pretty much every time I shoot. The next option is the volume key selection, and by default, this is mapped to the shutter button. But if you click into this, you have a few other options, and the zoom feature is new for the Pixel 10 Pro. Enabling this allows you to use the volume up and down rocker switch to zoom in and out, so you don't have to fiddle with the zoom settings on the screen. The rest of the settings I keep pretty much the default configuration, but if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you now have this underwater photo and video switch. This could be useful for underwater shots because I find that the white balance gets completely thrown off. But even though these devices are IP68 rated, I still highly recommend you use a underwater case with it because salt water can still damage these phones. Going back into the camera UI, let's switch over to video mode. The quick toggle is really convenient and I love the placement of this button. You can also access video mode by holding down the shutter button and it will automatically start recording video. Within video mode, we have a few specific video options. So once again, starting on the left, you have the FHD icon, and tapping on it allows you to switch your resolution from 1080p to 4K, or even 8K if you use Video Boost. Video Boost means that the video will be sent to Google servers and will be enhanced off device. Generally, I just leave this on 4K. Again, most of these video shooting modes are pretty straightforward, but I do want to highlight that not every mode allows you to shoot in 4K. For example, if you use the video blur mode, it switches your resolution to 1080p. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. Tapping on the icon on the bottom right pulls up video settings, just like how it pulled up photo settings in the photo mode. Some of the useful features in this menu are the ability to change your FPS, so you can go from 24 all the way to 60. Do know that if you choose 4K 60 FPS, you no longer have the ability to shoot HDR. So if you want to shoot HDR, you have to drop it down to 4K 30 or 1080p at 60 FPS. The other option is to use Video Boost. Switching over to the More tab, this is where you have access to different stabilization modes. So by default, it's on the middle, which is just regular stabilization. The locked mode really tries to keep your phone as stable as possible, so it looks like it's locked off on a tripod. And since we're shooting in 4K, we don't have active stabilization. So if we switch over to 1080p, then you can see we can use active stabilization for really shaky footage. This is really unfortunate, and I would love to have every feature available in 4K, and hopefully this is something that Google is able to improve on in future generations. As for Pro controls, they don't really exist for video. You just have access to the exposure and white balance sliders. There's no option for log or flat profile recording within the native camera app. Alright, so that pretty much covers off on all of the camera settings for the Pixel 10 Pro. I know it was a lot, and if you're still here, I really appreciate it. Definitely let me know in the comments if I missed anything or if you have any questions about those settings, and I will try to answer you. Hopefully this video was helpful and valuable for those of you who are new to Pixels. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you want to support my channel, please subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.